um, strikes me the most with my population was this particular summer was really hot. I had quite a few women do, July, August, and we sit in this nice air-conditioned clinic. I'm fortunate to have central air. I have a car that has central air. You just kind of wear blinders and not on purpose. But some of my clients I would meet and do their car seat installation. I'm also a car seat technician. So I would encourage them to get a car seat after the 36th week. And I met this girl in the back and no air in her car. She had, it was the same thing. She was pretty transient. She had no place to stay. We literally had to brainstorm. And she was starting labor. So for me, it's like if these women don't have an appropriate shelter in these very, very hot summers, that is an increase of preterm labor, and it's dangerous. I know also around the powwow time, we have our night of powwow about July 4th, and every other year it is like 100 degrees. So I always tell my pregnant women to stay hydrated. A lot of them will develop UTIs because of dehydration. And I've just found that over the years, women, once again, just kind of a lack of resources and lack of support. No mom, no grandma telling them like, it is super hot, you need to stay in, or go to this place and sit and relax and stay hydrated. So to me, it's like a dangerous factor for my clientele, the pregnant women. And then also, depending on how long in their pregnancy they are, they're so hot, they're dealing with stuff, are they eating, And then once again, do they have access to food? We were, giving out Oneida One-Stop cards because they didn't have, any food in their homes. So that was the one thing I thought about was the extreme heat. And then those particular families without stable housing, a decent vehicle, I was really scared for her. She's, put herself in a situation where preterm labor could have happened, complications maternally, and then obviously infant complications.
As for me, I think about climate change, again, as a community health rep. I think that we have a very sedentary population on our reservation. Now, whether that's tied into this, I think back, I played softball for over 30 years. Back in the day, we had 8, 12 teams in our little area right here playing. A lot of participation. People would come out and watch. It was a weekly event that brought people. Now, if we can pull 4 teams in there for people, nobody shows up. I don't see people really out exercising, walking around, enjoying time with the kids, or at least not on a very numerous quantity that I would say, oh wow, we're really doing something out there. So whether or not climate plays a part in it, I know there's some days up here when we get that humidity and the heat. That's not normal for us up here, and you don't even want to step outside your door if you've got air conditioning and that. So I think along those lines that there are changes in that. We have to gear what we do to them in our community health and in our grants to be able to increase the options for them to be able to go out and get active with their kids. More kids today are doing their, on their video games than they are going out and playing basketball or football or just running around. So, that's, I'm not really sure, but I think that plays a part in it. I know I don't want to really go out when it's hot and balmy out like that,
Early child care isn't much different than the school population. The number one chronic health issue for any of the children is asthma. So if we're going to have hotter days and longer summers, we're going to have more of those weather quality days that aren't so great. So we're going to have to keep the kids indoors, or we're going to have more adverse events with asthma attacks. So that's greater teaching for staff and teachers at that point. And again, if the weather's hotter in the summer, I have programming that runs 12 months out of the year. Head Start goes to about 9 months, but my early Head Start is a 12-month program. You just have to be aware of those hotter days. Can we hold a socialization outdoors? Oh no, the weather's too hot. And I've had staff that I've had to call ambulances on because they've had asthma attacks because it's the wrong pollen season or whatever. This fall, I had a lot of issues with the children who have seasonal allergies. It stayed long for so long, I mean hot for so long that, you know, the mold was still there, all the little spores were still in the air, and so kids were getting sicker sooner, they were having asthma attacks, the teachers were getting ill. Usually by around Halloween we can have a hard freeze. Well, that didn't happen, so we've already had a spike in upper respiratory illnesses in the school. So if this is the pattern, we're going to have to kind of prepare for some of that.
It's the elderly that are the most vulnerable. When your body temperature increases, it's more demand on the heart to pump blood to the skin for evaporative cooling. So elderly don't sense temperature as well. So elderly populations and heat waves, they're the most vulnerable in that situation.